Students, today we'll see a chapter two of the EIA course. This chapter covers about the EIA process. EIA process includes project screening, scoping, baseline data collection, impact prediction and identification, public participation, impact mitigation, EIA report and review, and also decision making. We will see these steps one by one. When we say EIA process, it is a process of examining the environmental consequence of development action progress. The process involves a number of steps. The first step of this process is project screening. Screening is the initial step of EIA process, which identifies proposals that require an EIA and excludes those that do not require EIA. The purpose of screening is to determine whether a proposal requires an AA or not. Screening determines the level of environmental review required for a proposed project. This IA categorizes projects into no further level of AA is required, a more limited AA is required, a full and comprehensive AA is required, or a further study is necessary to determine the level of EIA required. The second step is scoping. The term scoping is used to describe the process of deciding what should be included in an EIA. The scoping process identifies the issues that are likely to be of most important during the EIA and eliminates those that are of a little concern. It seeks to identify at an early stage, beginning once screening is completed. The purpose of scoping is to identify the important issues to be considered in an EIA, to identify the appropriate time and space boundaries of EIA study, to identify the information necessary for decision making and significant effects and factors to be studied in EIA, determine appropriate methodologies to involve potentially affected groups, and to establish the term of reference. The third step is baseline data collection. Baseline studies describes the existing environmental and help define what changes might occur. This baseline study includes the physical environment such as climate, air quality, hydrology, soil and geology, the biological environment such as species inventory, habitat quality, biodiversity hotspot, and the socio-economic environment includes population livelihood, public health, cultural heritage. And also, resource uses include water extraction and use community service infrastructures. The fourth step is impact prediction and identification. The prediction of impacts aim to identify the magnitude and other dimensions of identify changes in environment by comparing with and without a project action. Impact prediction evaluates magnitude of impact, extent, frequency and duration, probability and uncertainty, type and nature, and significance of impacts. When we see magnitude in terms of their consequence, impacts can be insignificant or highly significant, means requiring remediation. Extent. The impacts may have only a local effect or they may have a regional, transboundary, or global significance. Frequency and duration. The impact may range from a short term to permanent. Impacts, a short term impacts such as noise during construction and permanent impacts uh, are like a reallocation of village due to adaptation during dam construction. Probability or uncertainty. Impacts can vary in both likelihood, low likelihood, or high probability and consequence of occurrence. Type and nature. Impacts can vary in types from physical to the social, health, or economic. Significance. AI does not make decision, but its findings should be considered in policy decision making and should be reflected in a final choice. Impact identification seeks to answer what will change, how will it change, how severe will the change be. Most of impact identification include expert judgment, field observation, analogy with similar projects, checklist matrix in network, GIS in spatial modeling, laboratory and simulation model. The fifth step is public participation. This involves local communities, experts, and joint government bodies. The role of public consultation participation in a process is to ensure the quality, completeness, and effectiveness of EIA, to ensure that the public views are adequately taken into consideration in the decision-making process, to ensure public projects or programs have significant impact on local population. Hence, the aim is to improve the well-being of the population. Lack of understanding of a people may exert a considerable consequence, negative consequence. Participation can be useful at most stages. It is used to identify social and environmental concerns and to improve transparency and acceptability of the project, to determine the scope of EIA in evaluating the relative significance of likely impacts, to provide special knowledge about the site in proposing a mitigation measure. The sixth step is impact mitigation. Mitigation involves the introduction of measures to avoid, reduce, remedy, or compensate for any significant adverse impacts. Mitigation examples include redesign layouts, implementing erosion control, waste treatment system, habitat restoration, operational control and management plans, establishment of green space or buffers. Compensation and resettlement plan are required. The seventh step is a report and review. A report is a comprehensive document that assesses the potential environmental and social consequences of the proposed project and makes recommendations for mitigation of adverse impacts and the enhancement of positive impacts. A report should contain list of consultants, edition of development project covering need, objective technical details, site location input, and other relevant requirements. The eighth step is decision making. Yeah, it's an ongoing process of reviewing and negotiation and incremental decision making at a various level of a project cycle. Decision making should be consultative, participatory, and influence others to behave responsibility and sustainability. Possible decisions include request for supplementary or a new EIA report, approval of EIA report or performance report as various stages, approval of implementation of proposal with or without a condition, or it may be not or rejection. The ninth step is systematic EIA follow-up. Systematic follow-up activities are needed to see that the anticipated impacts are managed and or mitigated before they become problems. To realize and optimizing the benefits expected and to provide information for periodic review and alternation of impact mitigation plan. Follow-up involves monitoring, evaluation, management action, auditing, etc. This is all about process of EIA. Thank you.